And after that, knight to f6. Here Miller goes for the two knight defense. And also he is the president of the San Diego Chess Club. And now Tal responds with d4. He opts for the center control, and usually the main line continues with capturing on d4. And yes, white can recapture, but before that, e5, attacking the knight, so knight to e4. But queen to e2, attacking the knight again. And after knight to c5, c3, targeting the pawn. And if d3, then queen to e3. And in the next move, you can see white is going to castle, and black will continue with bishop to b7, and then black will also castle. And you can see both sides are doing great. But in the game, after the move d4, here Miller goes for d6, which is a theoretical inaccuracy. He blocks his own bishop, and now Tal simply takes on e5 by d takes e5. He simply wants to, simplify the structure, but now Miller makes an inaccuracy by capturing on e4. He tries to, also centralize the knight, but this is an inaccuracy. But before we continue, now I just want you all to pause the video and try to guess the next move which white can play in this position. And guys, here Tal goes for bishop takes f7 check. He rips open the black king. The idea is after king takes f7, now comes queen to d5 check, which also attacks the knight. And you can see in the next move, Tal is simply going to win back the material. Queen takes e4, and also you can see knight to g5 is coming. So to stop this, bishop to e7, he simply eyes on g5 so that this knight can't enter. And finally, Tal castled, which shows that he is now ready for action. And now, how can black continue the game? The first way is to capture on e5 by d takes e5, because after knight takes e5 check, simply knight takes e5, queen takes e5, and basically black can try to exchange the pieces so that he can go for queen to d5, asking for queen exchange. And if let's suppose white decides to capture on c7, now comes rook at h goes to c8, attacking the queen as well as the c2 pawn. And after queen to f4 check, simply bishop to f6, and you can see this bishop gets a strong diagonal. And after knight to c3, queen to f5, attacking the queen as well as targeting the c2 pawn, but simply queen takes, bishop takes, and you can see black have these two powerful bishop which you can see are placed perfectly, which are targeting the weak key squares of white. But guys, that's not a big issue. White can easily counter this, which clearly makes this position equal for both. Okay, so in the actual game, after Tal castles, basically here Miller goes for d5. He attacks the queen, but guys, that's a mistake, because it also blocks the diagonal of this light square bishop, which is a very crucial for black. On the next move, white is going to give a check from the queen, and then he can simply develop the knight to c3. But Tal has some other plans. He firstly goes for queen to d3. He simply steps back the queen, maintaining the pressure in the center. And now queen to d7. Miller simply starts to move his and basically he simply brings the queen into the action. Rook to e1, and you can see Tal is also slowly getting his pieces into the game. Okay, so Miller goes for rook at a goes to f8. He's basically getting ready to move this king to the queen side for safety. Okay, so now Tal goes for knight to g5. And guys, this is the point where this game gets interesting. Tal moves his knight forward and attacks the black throat. He just want to, capture this active light square bishop. But guys, that's not so easy. Here basically Miller goes for bishop to c5, which is a great counter attack. he simply ignores the threat of the bishop and instead he attacks on f2. And now many possibilities are here. I mean, let's see what will happen if white decides to defend on f2. Here the first move which comes in our mind is simply defending with the bishop, but guys, that's a mistake because of d4, and white has to lose one of his piece. Okay, so let me go back to the move bishop to c5. The another move which comes in our mind is rook to f1, simply guarding on f2. But guys, now comes knight takes e5, attacking the queen, and after queen to g3, simply knight to g6. Although you can see white is still better, but this move is basically too slow. I mean, previously this you can see this rook on basically on e1 was placed perfectly, which is eyeing on the black king. But by moving it, you can see black is, I mean, it not looks so great. Okay, so after the move bishop to c5, and guys, now you might be shocked that Tal simply ignores the threat on f2 and instead he goes for knight takes e6. He allows black to capture on f2 because after king to h1, now bishop takes e1. Oh my god. Simply Tal loses the rook and now he's losing. But guys, that's not the case. This is all the part of his plan. Basically, he wants to break the coordination of black pieces and he continues with knight takes f8. And after that, you can see he wins back the exchange. But guys, let me go back. Yes. So basically here the best move for white is to not capture this rook. It is to capture this pawn, creating immense pressure over the c7 square. And after bishop to a5, let's suppose if he tries to defend, simply bishop to d2, trying to deflect the bishop so that he can, simply capture on this square. But simply if let's suppose bishop takes, then queen takes, and at the end you can see here black has too much pressure on the king. Okay, so in the actual game, after knight takes f8, simply rook takes f8, and guys, this is the most controversial move of this game which is played by Tal. I mean, here Tal goes for bishop to g5, but as you can see, I marked this move as a brilliant move. Why I am saying this is a controversial move? Well, as you can see by the eval bar, it is saying that this move is bad. But guys, let me go back to the move rook takes f8. Basically, the chess engine is recommending the move bishop to e3. He wants to keep an eye over this diagonal, but the problem with that move is now black is going to capture on c3 first, and if queen takes bishop, then you can see black will simply push d4, which targets the bishop and the queen. So that's why b takes c3 is forced, and now rook to f5. And although the position is equal, but in the long run, it is not easy for white to control the game because of this disrupted structure. So that's why Tal goes for bishop to g5. And basically, what bishop to g5 does is it simply targets the king. The computer says this is a mistake, but guys, believe me, there is something Tal is prepared. Okay, so now Miller continues with knight to b4. He simply attacks the queen, and guys, which is basically a good move. The idea is after this queen goes back, now comes this amazing sacrifice by black. He goes for knight takes c2, and here you cannot capture this knight due to this back rank mate. Yes, you are right, this is mate. So let me go back. Okay, so let me go back to this move, and let's suppose if he goes for rook takes e1, if he decides to capture the bishop, and so that he can get two minor pieces, hoping that now he is safe. But now comes queen to f5, attacking the bishop as well as threatening back rank mate on f1. And if h4, simply d4, attacking the knight, and you can see there is too much pressure over the white position, and you can see this is all over for white. So that's why after knight takes, okay, so knight takes c2. So that's why here Tal goes for e6. And guys, I have a question for you. What do you think why Tal, go for this move? Yes, he wants to attack the queen, but guys, that's not only one reason. I mean, this move does one other thing also. I mean, basically, I mean, this move does one other thing, which is even more important, and you will understand this in the next few moves. But for now, since this queen is attacked, so Miller brings it back to d6. I mean, brings it to d6, and guys, that's a blunder. Instead, he must consider the move queen to c6 because now Tal brings his knight further on b5, attacking the queen. But Miller is clever. He goes for queen to e5. He sacrifices the queen, which white cannot accept because if queen takes queen, then again rook to f1 will be a mate. And let me go back to the move queen to e5. Here, he also cannot move the queen because of the same threat of of a back rank mate by the rook. I mean, if he goes either there or there, and let's suppose if he also goes there, then again this is coming. So, guys, this is really concerning, but not for Tal. I mean, in this position, he finds the best move, h4. He firstly eliminates the back rank threat. But what about the queen? I mean, black can now simply capture the queen. But guys, if this happens, then knight takes c7 will be a mate. I mean, look at this mate by the knight, bishop and pawn. Now I think you all understand the importance of the move e6 by Tal. So after the move h4, let me go back. So that's why Miller simply goes for queen to g3. He doesn't, I mean, he cannot leave the defense of this pawn because of this mate. And as you can see, now he's preparing for rook to f2 on the next move, which looks deadly. But it looks like Tal is not worried. He calmly brings his rook to d1, and now Miller goes according to his plan. He goes for rook to f2, attacking the queen and also threatening mate on g2. And guys, in this position, Tal shocked the chess world by sacrificing the queen by queen takes f2. He simply eliminates the mating threat, and the idea is after bishop takes f2, simply rook takes d5, and in the next move rook to d8 will be a mate which cannot be stopped. I mean, to stop this, black is now forced to give up the queen with a check, which actually happens in the game because by taking it also gives a check, and you can see now black has to give up the exchange. Bishop takes h4, knight takes c7 check, and when the death settles, you can see Tal is 2 pawns, or we can say 2 points up with a winning position. Okay, so since the king is in check, so king to f8, but rook to f5 check, bishop to f6, he simply defends, but rook to d5, and in the next move he's preparing for this, so a5, but rook to d7, preparing for the check. So that's why knight to b4, but Tal simply gives a check. King to g8, rook takes f6, the final exchange sacrifice, and now knight to c6. He simply tries to stop the pawn, but rook to f7, g6, e7, and in this position Jack Miller resigned because after knight takes pawn, you can see rook takes e7, and yeah, and you can see this is all over for black. What an amazing game by Tal. Like this video and I will see you in the next one. If you are new to this channel, please make sure to subscribe. This is your host Bison signing off. Bye bye.